most relationships fail spectacularly, not because of a lack of love, but because of a catastrophic, almost willful misunderstanding of power dynamics. Forget the fairy tale of equality. We're diving headfirst into the raw, untamed, and often brutal world of dominance and submission, where the strongest thrive and the weak, well, they get left behind, shattered, and wondering what hit them. Are you ready to face a truth that society desperately tries to bury? We're not talking about whips and chains necessarily, although that can be a manifestation. We're talking about power play, a deliberate, conscious, and constant negotiation of dominance and submission that extends far beyond the bedroom, permeating every single aspect of a relationship. Every interaction, every decision, every conflict is a subtle or not so subtle dance of power. Who leads? Who follows? Who controls the narrative? This isn't about abuse, not at all. It's about understanding the deep, primal drives that pulse beneath the surface of every human interaction. Drives that have been deliberately suppressed and demonized by a culture terrified of its own shadow. I'm going to unveil controversial truths, the kind that make people squirm in their seats. I'm going to challenge the conventional and, frankly, utterly failed relationship models that preach a bland, sterile equality that denies the fundamental biological and psychological realities of men and women. Prepare to have your assumptions shattered. Prepare to be uncomfortable. Prepare to finally understand why so many relationships crumble into dust, leaving behind only bitterness and regret. Because the truth is a powerful weapon, and once you wield it, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. This isn't for the faint of heart. This is for those who crave real connection, real passion, and a relationship built on the unshakable foundation of understood and embraced power. Are you in or are you out? The alpha, beta, omega dynamic unmasked, a biological imperative, not a social construct. Forget the politically correct nonsense you've been fed. We're diving into the raw, untamed truth about male hierarchies. It's not pretty, it's not equal, but it's real, and ignoring it is the single biggest reason why your relationships are crumbling around you. This isn't some societal construct dreamed up by academics. It's a biological imperative etched into our DNA, a primal pecking order that dictates our interactions and ultimately our romantic success. Prepare to have your worldview shattered. Let's break it down brutally and honestly. The alpha, he's the apex predator, the leader of the pack. He commands respect, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. Think of a lion surveying his pride, absolute confidence, unwavering authority, a palpable aura of power. He doesn't ask, he tells. He doesn't hesitate, he acts. He's the man other men instinctively defer to, and women are irresistibly drawn to. His decisions are final, his presence is magnetic, and his life is a testament to his dominance. He's the CEO, the general, the star athlete, the man who bends reality to his will. The beta, the lieutenant, the loyal follower, the second in command. He's competent, reliable, and essential, but he lacks the alpha's inherent fire, that unshakable self-belief. He obeys not out of fear, but out of respect and a recognition of his place in the hierarchy. Think of the loyal right-hand man, the skilled craftsman, the dependable friend. He's valuable, but he's not the leader. In a relationship, he's the man who constantly seeks his partner's approval, who defers to her decisions, who avoids conflict like the plague. He's the nice guy who finishes last, wondering why she lost interest. The omega, the outcast, the invisible man, the one who struggles to find his place. He's often ostracized, not necessarily because he's weak, but because he rejects the hierarchy altogether or is incapable of navigating it. He avoids responsibility, shuns confrontation, and often retreats into his own world. Think of the stereotypical basement dweller, the man who blames society for his problems, the one who's perpetually single and resentful. He's the man who's been told he's enough, just the way he is a lie that keeps him trapped in mediocrity. This hierarchy inevitably manifests in relationships, regardless of how much you try to deny it. It's a dance of dominance and submission, a constant negotiation of power, whether you're conscious of it or not. Vivid examples see if you recognize yourself or your partner, the beta in action. Imagine a couple deciding where to go for dinner. The woman expresses a preference, and the man immediately says, "Sure, whatever you want, honey." He's avoiding conflict, prioritizing her happiness, or so he thinks over his own desires. He's signaling weakness, submission, a lack of leadership. This might seem harmless, but repeated over time, it erodes respect and attraction. She might not even realize why she's losing interest, but it's the primal part of her brain screaming, "Where's the alpha? Where's the man who can lead?" The alpha in command. Contrast that with the alpha. He might say, "We're going to that new Italian place. I've heard it's fantastic, and I know you'll love it." He's not being a dictator. He's being decisive. He's taking charge, demonstrating confidence, and showing her that he can provide a positive experience. He's signaling strength, leadership, the ability to make decisions, and take care of her even if it's just choosing a restaurant. The omega's avoidance. Now, the omega. He might say that has a stomach upset, doesn't feel like anything, and lets the woman decide everything herself after a long discussion. This type of man usually says, "I don't care, you decide." Or he might try to avoid the situation altogether, suggesting they stay home and order takeout, avoiding the social interaction and decision making altogether. Ignoring this dynamic is a recipe for disaster. It leads to resentment. The woman, subconsciously craving alpha leadership, grows resentful of the beta's passivity. The beta, sensing her disapproval, becomes even more insecure and accommodating, creating a vicious cycle. Dissatisfaction. Both partners feel a vague sense of unease, a lack of fulfillment. They might not be able to articulate it, but the underlying power imbalance is poisoning the relationship. Relationship breakdown. Eventually, the attraction fades completely. The woman might seek an alpha elsewhere consciously or unconsciously, or the relationship simply implodes under the weight of unspoken frustrations. The beta is left heartbroken and confused, wondering what went wrong. The omega never even gets off the starting line. The truth is harsh, but it's liberating. Understanding this primal dynamic is the first step to taking control of your relationships and your life. Are you going to continue to be a victim of your own biology? Or are you going to learn to play the game and win? Are you going to embrace the challenge and become the alpha you were meant to be? Or are you going to resign yourself to a life of mediocrity and regret? The choice is yours, and it's a choice that will determine the course of your entire future. Decoding female hypergamy and why it matters. Let's cut the crap and speak plainly, shall we? Forget the politically correct fairy tales you've been fed. Women, biologically, are predisposed to seek the best possible mate. This isn't some societal construct. It's hardwired into their DNA. It's called hypergamy, and if you don't understand it, you're doomed to fail in the relationship arena. And I mean catastrophically fail. Now, this isn't about accusing women of being gold diggers. That's a simplistic and frankly insulting interpretation. This is about survival at the most primal level. Think about it. Throughout evolutionary history, a woman's survival and the survival of her offspring depended entirely on the strength, resources, and protection offered by her mate. A weak, incapable man meant potential starvation, danger, and death. Are you starting to get the picture? So, what does this mean in the 21st century? It means women are wired to seek the alpha, the provider, the protector, the man who can dominate his environment. Not necessarily through physical force, although let's not kid ourselves. That primal appeal remains, but through competence, confidence, and control. The man who commands respect, who takes charge, who leads. The man who exudes an aura of unwavering strength. The impact of this hypergamous drive on modern relationships is profound and often devastating for men who remain utterly clueless. Picture this. A woman begins to lose respect for a man she perceives as weak or submissive. It's not necessarily a conscious decision. It's an instinctual response. The attraction, that initial spark, begins to fade. Why? Because the man is failing to fulfill her deep-seated biological need for a strong, capable partner. Let me give you some concrete examples so you can see this dynamic in action. So crystal clear, it will shatter your illusions. The apologizer, the man who constantly says sorry, even when he's done nothing wrong. This signals submissiveness and a lack of confidence. He's practically begging for forgiveness for existing. The indecisive one, the man who can't make a decision to save his life. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want? This is a huge turn-off. It screams weakness and lack of leadership. A woman wants a man who can take charge, who knows what he wants, and who can provide direction. The conflict avoider, the man who shies away from any kind of confrontation, even when he's being treated unfairly. He's a doormat, plain and simple. This signals a lack of assertiveness and an inability to protect himself, let alone her. It's pathetic, the follower, the man that always lets the woman take the lead role, always agreeing. It's a slow death for attraction. These behaviors, and countless others like them, chip away at a woman's respect and attraction. They are like poison, slowly killing the relationship from the inside out. She may not even realize why she's losing interest. She just feels it. It's a visceral, gut-level response. Now, listen up. This is crucial. Understanding hypergamy is not about becoming a domineering, abusive jerk. It's about recognizing this inherent female drive and catering to it in a healthy, respectful way. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the strongest, most capable man you can be. It's about embodying the qualities of leadership, confidence, and strength that women are biologically programmed to find irresistible. It's about taking responsibility, leading with conviction, and providing a sense of security and stability. It's about becoming the alpha she craves without sacrificing your own integrity or becoming a tyrant. It's a delicate balance, a high-stakes game, but one that's absolutely essential to master if you want to build a truly fulfilling and lasting relationship. Fail to understand this, and you'll be forever stuck in the cycle of beta frustration and heartbreak. The choice, as always, is yours. Practical dominance, beyond the bedroom. Forging the unbreakable, you listen closely, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you transform from a mere man into a force of nature. We're not talking about barking orders like a drill sergeant. We're talking about cultivating an aura of unshakable command that permeates every aspect of your life, drawing others into your orbit. And yes, making your partner crave your leadership. Forget the wishy-washy, indecisive, nice guy. He's destined for a life of quiet desperation. We're building something monumental here. Decision-making, the death of whatever you want. How many times have you uttered those pathetic words? What do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? Rip those phrases from your vocabulary. They reek of weakness, of a man adrift at sea without a rudder. Instead, cultivate decisive action. This isn't about being a tyrant. It's about providing direction, about being the captain of your ship. For example, instead of asking, "What do you want for dinner?" say, "We're going to that new Italian place tonight. I've heard their osso buco is incredible." Or, "I've made reservations at the Oak Room at 8. Be ready." Notice the difference. You're not asking for permission. You're informing with confidence. This subtle shift signals leadership and control. Even better, plan surprises. Get dressed. We're going out. Don't ask questions. The mystery, the anticipation, it all fuels her desire for your leadership. Financial control, the architect of security and power. Money is power, plain and simple. This isn't about being a miserly Scrooge. It's about being the undisputed master of your financial domain. It's about demonstrating that you can provide, protect, and build a future. This means taking charge of investments, budgeting, and major financial decisions. Does this mean your partner has no input? Absolutely not. But you are the final authority. You are the CFO of your family's empire. Imagine the confidence you'll exude knowing you're building a financial fortress. Imagine the security she'll feel knowing you're at the helm. This isn't about hoarding wealth. It's about wielding it responsibly, like a king surveying his prosperous kingdom. For instance, learn about investments, create a solid financial plan, and present it to her, explaining your strategy. Show her, don't just tell her, that you're in control. Social situations, the lion in his pride. Social gatherings are your proving ground. Are you the wallflower clinging to your partner's side? Or are you the magnetic center of attention, effortlessly commanding the room? Learn to be the latter. Introduce your partner with pride and confidence, not as an afterthought. Lead conversations, tell engaging stories, and be genuinely interested in others, but always maintain a subtle air of dominance. Think of a lion surveying his pride. He's approachable, even playful, but everyone knows who's in charge. Don't be afraid to be the alpha in the room. It does not imply rudeness, but rather exudes confidence and control. Make eye contact, use strong body language, and speak with conviction. Practice makes perfect. Start small with everyday interactions and gradually build your social dominance. Conflict resolution. The unflinching rock. Conflict is inevitable. The nice guy crumbles under pressure, apologizing profusely even when he's not in the wrong. The dominant man, however, stands his ground. This doesn't mean being a belligerent bully. It means asserting yourself calmly, firmly, and unapologetically. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. Don't be afraid to disagree, even with your partner, especially with your partner, in a respectful way. Remember, you're not aiming to win every argument. You're aiming to demonstrate that you're not a pushover. Be the unyielding mountain, the unwavering force that can weather any storm. For example, if your partner is being unreasonable, don't immediately back down. State your position clearly and calmly, and hold your ground. Let her know that you're not afraid of confrontation, but that you're also willing to listen, but on your terms. Physical presence, the embodiment of strength. Your body is a temple, and it should reflect the power you wield. This isn't about vanity. It's about projecting an aura of strength and control. Hit the gym, sculpt your physique, and stand tall. Posture is crucial. Slouching screams weakness. Stand with your shoulders back, chest out, and head held high. Cultivate a powerful, resonant voice. Speak clearly and deliberately, projecting your voice from your diaphragm. Imagine a Roman emperor addressing his legions. He wouldn't mumble or slouch, would he? Every aspect of your physical presence should communicate dominance and self-assuredness. This isn't just for show. It will also boost your own confidence from the inside out. Emotional stoicism, the master of your inner world. Emotional volatility is the antithesis of dominance. The dominant man is the master of his emotions, not their slave. This doesn't mean being a cold, unfeeling robot. It means being in control of your reactions. Don't be overly needy, clingy, or emotionally dependent. Be the rock, the unwavering source of strength for your partner. When faced with adversity, remain calm and collected. Show her that you can handle anything life throws your way. This will inspire trust and admiration, and further solidify your position of leadership. Practice mindfulness, meditation, or any technique that helps you cultivate inner peace and emotional resilience. Remember, a king doesn't throw tantrums. He rules with a steady hand. Embrace no more Mr. Nice Guy, the ruthless pursuit of self. The nice guy is a doormat, constantly sacrificing his own needs and desires to please others. He's a people pleaser, a validation seeker, and ultimately, a failure in the eyes of a woman who craves strength. Shed that skin. Prioritize your own goals, your own ambitions, your own well-being. Set boundaries and enforce them ruthlessly. Say no without hesitation. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being self-respecting. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. The more you value yourself, the more others will value you, including your partner. This is the foundation of true dominance, a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to claim it. Confrontation training, forging the fearless warrior. This isn't about starting fights. It's about being prepared for them, both literally and metaphorically. Learn self-defense techniques, not to become a thug, but to cultivate a sense of inner confidence and security. Knowing you can handle yourself physically will radiate outwards, affecting your posture, your voice, and your overall demeanor. It's about knowing you can protect yourself and your loved ones should the need arise. This is the ultimate expression of dominance, the ability to defend your territory, your principles, and your family. Think of it as hunting your inner warrior, the primal protector that lies dormant within every man. This will transform you, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, into a force to be reckoned with. The fearless warrior that is unbreakable. Submission, the art of controlled surrender for women. Listen, this is where things get really interesting, and frankly, where most modern women get it catastrophically wrong. True, earth-shattering, soul-stirring dominance. It's a dance, a symphony of power, and it requires a willing, even enthusiastic, submissive partner. I'm not talking about doormats. I'm talking about queens choosing to kneel before their kings. Think of it like this: a high-powered CEO, a woman who dominates the boardroom all day, might crave the release of surrendering to her man's authority in the privacy of their home. It's a pressure valve, a release, a delicious shedding of responsibility. This isn't about oppression, far from it. This is about a conscious choice, a deliberate act of relinquishing control in specific areas. It's about recognizing and honoring the inherent masculine energy of your partner and allowing him to lead. This is the ultimate act of trust, a profound expression of femininity, a siren's call that awakens the primal beast within him. Let's shatter the feminist lies right now. They'll shriek about oppression, about returning to the dark ages of the 1950s. They'll tell you it's weak, degrading, anti-woman. Ignore them. These are the howls of women who've never experienced the exquisite pleasure of true surrender, the intoxicating freedom of letting go. This isn't about becoming a Stepford wife. It's about embracing a natural dynamic, a biological imperative that, when properly understood and enacted, fulfills both partners on a level that vanilla, equal relationships can only dream of. How does this controlled surrender manifest in the real world? Let me paint you some vivid pictures. Decision making. Imagine a scenario where you're deciding on a vacation. Instead of the endless back and forth, the compromises that leave everyone slightly dissatisfied, you allow him to make the final call. You offer your input, of course, but ultimately, you trust his judgment. You say, I trust you to choose something amazing for us. Feel the weight lifting, the relief of not having to shoulder every decision, deferring to his judgment, within reason, of course. Let's say he has a strong opinion on a particular investment or a career move you're considering. Instead of immediately arguing or asserting your own perspective, listen. Consider his reasoning. Give him the space to lead. This doesn't mean blindly following him off a cliff. It means acknowledging his strength and perspective and choosing to trust his guidance. Expressing appreciation for his strength and leadership. This is crucial. Men crave validation, especially from the women they love. Tell him how much you admire his strength, his decisiveness, his ability to provide and protect. Make him feel like the king he is. Use your words, your body language, your eyes to convey your admiration. This is fuel for his masculine fire. Embrace the power of yes, dear. I know. This phrase triggers the feminist rage machine. But hear me out. It's not about blind obedience. It's about a willingness to yield, to choose peace and harmony over constant conflict. It's about recognizing that sometimes letting him have his way is the most powerful move you can make. It is absolutely essential to understand that submission is a gift, a precious offering, not an obligation. It's a privilege he earns, not a right he's automatically entitled to. And like any gift, it can be revoked at any time if he abuses his power, crosses your boundaries, or fails to reciprocate with respect and appreciation. This is controlled surrender, remember. You are the queen, and you retain the ultimate power to reclaim your authority whenever you deem it necessary. You are choosing to empower him, and that choice is yours, and yours alone. This dynamic, when balanced, creates a powerful, almost unstoppable force of shared strength and mutual fulfillment. The contrast is exhilarating. It is in a way that the alpha male is the king that all women would love and be happy to follow. Is that clear? Navigating the minefield, power, respect, and avoiding abuse. Let's be brutally honest. We're walking a razor's edge here. The line between exhilarating power exchange and soul-crushing abuse can be terrifyingly thin. Acknowledge this dynamic attracts individuals with pre-existing power issues, both on the dominant and submissive sides. We are not talking about playing house. We are talking about potentially unleashing primal forces. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and you're not building a kingdom, you're creating a prison. The difference between a healthy power play and toxic control boils down to one word: respect. Not the fluffy, feel-good kind, but the bone-deep, unshakable respect for another human being's autonomy, even within a framework of negotiated power imbalance. Think of it as a controlled burn in a forest. Intense, purposeful, but always contained. Lose control, and you've got an inferno that consumes everything. Here's how to navigate this treacherous terrain, how to wield power responsibly, and how to identify and reject abuse masquerading as dominance. Constant communication, the lifeline. This isn't just about talking. It's about radical, unflinching honesty. Openly discuss boundaries, desires, and limits. Yes, but go deeper. Detail exactly what excites you, what terrifies you, what triggers past traumas. Regular check-ins are crucial. Not just weekly, think daily, especially at the beginning. Create a ritual. Ask questions like, how did that make you feel? Are you still comfortable with this level of control? Is there anything you want to change, add, or remove? No passive aggressiveness, no hinting. Speak with the clarity of a diamond cutter. Lay your soul bare. Anything less is a recipe for disaster. Mutual respect, the unbreakable foundation. Dominance should never be used to demean or humiliate. This is non-negotiable. Ever. Respect is the bedrock. It means valuing your partner's thoughts, feelings, and well-being, even when they are surrendering control. Think of a skilled surgeon, precise, powerful, but always acting with the patient's best interest at heart. Humiliation, insults, and degradation are the weapons of the insecure, the tools of a tyrant, not a true alpha. A true dominant elevates their partner. A toxic one crushes them. Remember, a queen willingly bows to a king, but never to a brute. Safe words, metaphorical or literal. The emergency brake. Establish clear signals for when things are going too far. This isn't just for the bedroom. Have a safe word for everyday life, a phrase, a gesture, a look that instantly communicates, stop. We need to reassess. It could be as simple as red light or a specific hand signal. This is your emergency brake. Use it without hesitation, without shame. The dominant partner must respect the safe word immediately, without question, without argument. Failure to do so is a blatant violation of trust and a flashing red sign of abuse. No excuses, no justifications. The game is over. Enthusiastic consent, the golden rule. Submission must always be freely and enthusiastically given. Coercion is unacceptable. This is the heart of it all. Enthusiasm is key. Not grudging acceptance, not resigned compliance, but genuine, eager willingness. If there's any hesitation, any doubt, any pressure, it's not consent. Coercion, manipulation, guilt-tripping, these are the hallmarks of abuse. Remember, true submission is a gift, freely offered. A forced gift is a theft, a violation. Observe your partner's body language, their tone of voice, their eyes. Are they truly present, truly engaged, truly wanting this? If not, back off. Immediately. Self-awareness. Know thyself and thy partner. Both partners need to be aware of their own tendencies and triggers. Recognize and address any unhealthy patterns. This requires deep introspection. Are you drawn to dominance because you crave control, or because you genuinely enjoy empowering your partner? Are you drawn to submission because you fear responsibility, or because you find liberation in surrender? Explore your past traumas, your insecurities, your hidden desires. Understand your partner's history, their triggers, their vulnerabilities. This isn't a game for the emotionally immature. It requires a level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence that most people simply don't possess. Be brutally honest with yourselves about yourselves. Journal, meditate, seek therapy individually and as a couple. The more you understand yourselves, the less likely you are to stumble into the darkness. Game and pick up artistry, pua. The serpent in the garden. Emphasize the psychological manipulation tactics, even deception, that have been used to control and make women obedient. This is where the dark underbelly of the manosphere reveals itself. Pure techniques at their core are about manipulation. They're about exploiting psychological vulnerabilities to achieve a desired outcome, usually sex or control. Negging, gaslighting, love bombing, these are not tools of dominance. They are weapons of emotional abuse. Be extremely wary of anyone advocating these methods. A true alpha doesn't need to trick or coerce. His strength and confidence are enough. Pua is the serpent in the garden, offering forbidden fruit that tastes sweet but ultimately poisons the soul. Recognize it, reject it, and run from it. True power comes from authenticity, not manipulation. It is not about imposing one's will, but about a knowing and deliberate exchange. This entire dynamic is a dance on the edge of a volcano. It can be exhilarating, transformative, and deeply fulfilling. But it can also be devastating. Proceed with caution, with respect, and with unwavering commitment to ethical power exchange. Anything less is not just irresponsible, it's dangerous. Let's cut through the noise and get back to the bone. Mastering the power play isn't about shoving women back into the kitchen or turning men into emotionless robots. It's about understanding the raw, untamed, primal drives that pulse beneath the surface of every relationship, whether you acknowledge them or not. It is about looking into the eye of the hurricane. Are you scared? You should be. It is about using those primal drives. Forget the politically correct fairy tales you've been force-fed. We're talking about the deep-seated biological imperatives that dictate attraction, desire, and ultimately, the success or failure of your love life. This isn't about enforcing outdated gender roles. It's about harnessing the inherent power within you, whether you're naturally inclined to lead, to dominate, or to follow, to submit. It's about understanding the dance, the push and pull, the give and take that fuels the fire of passion. It's about recognizing the alpha within, or acknowledging the beautiful, powerful surrender of the willing submissive. Are you truly living if you ignore this power? I tell you no. You are existing as half a being. So I challenge you, embrace your inherent nature. Throw off the shackles of societal programming, the shoulds and shouldn'ts that have suffocated your true self. Forge a relationship built on authentic power dynamics, where both partners understand and celebrate their roles. Dare to step outside the vanilla box and explore the exhilarating, intoxicating world of conscious dominance and submission. Dare to stare into the abyss of raw, unfiltered desire. The rewards, they're not for the faint of heart. We're talking about intense passion, the kind that burns white hot and consumes you whole. We're talking about unwavering loyalty, a bond forged in mutual respect and understanding, a connection so deep it transcends the mundane. We're talking about an unbreakable connection, a partnership that can weather any storm, because it's built on the bedrock of truth, not the shifting sands of societal expectation. A connection, mind you, where weakness is not tolerated, where the alpha stands tall and the submissive rejoices in his strength. But understand this, it is a risk. It requires vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to confront your deepest desires and fears. It demands that you shed the mask of conformity and embrace your authentic self, no matter how unacceptable it may seem to the masses. It means facing the judgment of the weak, the whispers of the ignorant, the condemnation of those who are too afraid to live fully. So, the choice, my friend, is utterly, irrevocably yours. Will you remain a pawn, a puppet dancing to the tune of others, trapped in a cycle of mediocrity and dissatisfaction, a mere shadow of your potential self? Or will you seize control, become the master of your own destiny, and forge a relationship that is not only fulfilling, but truly, breathtakingly powerful? Will you be the sheep, or will you be the wolf? Answer me that, and answer it honestly. Your future, your power depends on it.